Oh, I didn't see you there. Welcome. How you guys doing? Time to get rid of this black hood. I've been looking at it for I think almost a year now, and I'm a little over it. I wanted to paint it right as I got the car, but dived into all these other projects. So, hood it is. It's fiberglass. It's got a gel coat on it. So we're gonna take it off the car, then we're gonna fine sand it. We're gonna seal it, paint it, and get it back on here, and of course clear coat it. We're actually going to paint both sides. Let me see if you can see the other side. Well, it's a little dark here. But the center is not really gel coated. We're going to just leave it black, big black circle there, almost like it had an underhood matte in it. And we'll paint all the perimeter and stuff. To avoid painting over multiple days, one side let it dry, flip it, other side let it dry, then clear coat and so forth. I think what we're going to do is just hang it by the hinges and just paint both sides one shot, one day. And then we'll get it back on here. Should be pretty cool. So I have noticed the hood is catching right here on the cowl when it shuts. And I'm hoping it's just as simple as a hood adjustment. So I'm gonna go ahead and adjust these hinges and make sure it's nothing more than just a hood adjustment that fixes that. Otherwise, if I need to do any modifications to the back of the hood, maybe take off some material here or whatever the case may be, I want to do it now before we paint it, not once it's painted and we put it back on and it's still rubbing. Okay, walking around and looking at it, I can see the hood is recessed in over here, like it's a little bit too far back. So it can definitely come out some on this side. This end, a little bit, not so bad. The gaps here on the driver's side, actually not horrible. I mean, it gets a little close there, but it's not bad. This side, however, I come up here, and of course it rubs here when it opens. It's real tight over there. And over here, it's actually touching right now. So that's not good. And then I'm looking over here and I see when it opens, it's touching, it's contacting right here on the windshield wiper. You can see it's been taking the paint from every time it opens and closes on there. So I hope there's not some reason that somebody installed this hood all the way back like this, touching everything. I'm gonna go ahead and try and adjust it forward and see if there's an underlying issue why someone did that, or if someone just did a goofy job of putting it on. I'm hoping for option B, goofy job. Okay, anytime I'm adjusting the hinges by myself, actually even when I have someone helping me, I always stick towels in there like that. So as I loosen the bolts, if the hood kind of gets away from me, that's my saving grace. It doesn't destroy the paint on the cowl, or if your hood was in good shape, it doesn't destroy it on the paint, or the paint on the hood. So let's go ahead and do this. Well, that takes care of that side over there, that little corner. The cowl still hits the windshield wiper. I think I need to, more than just that gap, I need to move the whole entire hood forward some. I have a little bit of room to do it. It's gonna be a little bit tricky. And to see if that is gonna help make this clearance over there a little better. Okay, I think I found the issue. This hinge piece right here in the firewall looks like it's kind of distorted or shaped in some. And I think it goes with the front bumper piece that I found here earlier that was damaged. Car's clearly being tapped in on this side a little bit, and this, obviously the hood got hit and it took a little bit of damage there. So there's a slight misalignment there that we have to just work around. All right, so after yesterday, I decided to go ahead and slot the driver's side hinges after all. It was so close, but it was so finicky, and when you open and closed, you hit the windshield wiper sometimes if you weren't just super careful and whatnot. So I wanted to just get that resolved and be done and not have some delicate, finicky thing that was tough to deal with. So it's not, 100% perfect like a new car or anything, but it's within Fox spec. It works. And it's pretty good. So I think we're good to pull this off now and start prepping it. Here's our hood. Decided to go ahead and hang it up so we could paint both sides one easy shot. Let me try to zoom out some. There you go. We went ahead and taped up the centerpiece because it was rough, unfinished fiberglass. There was no gel coat, so that would have looked goofy anyway. So it'll just look like a hood blanket, black in the center. Should be able to paint both sides one shot. We set up the garage doors. We got squirrel cage fans exhausting on this side. And over here on this side, we created a nice air filter. Literally, it's actually some sheetrock type, not sheetrock, it's the sheets of insulation you get from like your Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever. And then we put furnace filters or AC filters in there. And that way we'll filter the air coming in, so we'll have a clean draft blowing right through and out, and we should be able to spray in here pretty decent. All right, we got the hood going. It's looking pretty good so far. We got 2 coats of sealant on it, 2 coats of base, and then we did 3 coats of clear coat. First one was real light, kind of dry, then 2 wet coats. It's starting to look pretty good. It does have an orange peel to it, of course, which is pretty normal right after clear coat. So we're gonna go ahead and hit this with a 1000 grit sandpaper and wet sand it, get that nice and smooth. Then we're likely gonna go ahead and bolt it up to the car so that it holds it secure, and then we're going to do the buffing and polishing, and then we'll take a look at it, how well that matches the car. All right, so we started the buffing process, and right away there's a few issues we can see. Let me show you over here. So there's a few spots, if you look closely, there's actually some orange peel we missed when we were sanding. The buffing compound does not take that out, so that needs to be fixed. And furthermore, if you look at the part where we buffed, the cutting compound, you can see, let me move it along here, there's actually little lines, and that is some fine sanding lines. So the 1000 grit was not fine enough because after we hit the buffer, you can still see some marks. So I'm gonna take this back out and get back to sanding. I obviously need to hit every little bit of orange peel. I try to stay away from the edges, and that's mostly where we're having the issue, because I didn't want to go through the clear coat or through the paint or primer or anything like that. So I'm just gonna have to be super careful and get very close to the edges, get all the clear coat gone, because you have to sand it all the way. Not clear coat, all the orange peel has to be sanded all the way gone. Then I'm gonna hit it with probably 1500 and then likely 2000 as well, to get the sanding lines completely down, or at least much finer. Then when we hit it with a buffing compound, it should come out looking like glass. So, all right, back to sanding. What I find really interesting is, as you're sanding the clear coat, you start to smell the clear coat. It's like there's layers below that are not fully cured yet and still releasing vapors. Interesting. So the reason I dry different patches is when it's wet, everything just looks glossy, smooth, and perfect. You can't see your progress on the sanding. You have to dry it off. Then as it sort of hazes over, you can see the spots where there's orange peel and where it looks good and where you need to sand more. All right, there it is. Bright, shiny red hood. All things considered, it turned out pretty good. We had a couple times the power went out. I think one of the times I actually caught it on camera, so that didn't help. And then the worst issue was right towards the end with the clear coat. The paint gun started pulsating for some reason. We took it apart real quick. We didn't have a lot of time because you only have so much flash time between coats. Put it back together. We couldn't find what was wrong. It kept doing it, so we ended up with a real bad orange peel. If you're not familiar, it's like where the clear coat literally looks like the skin of an orange, like orange peel. So we had to do a lot of wet sanding, 1000 grit, 1500, 2000, and did it over and over, because then we'd hit it with a buffer and it would it would buff it up, but you'd still see the scratch lines from painting, from sanding. So we do it again and again, and oh man, if I never have to wet sand another hood in my life, it'll be just fine. But all things considered, it came out great. I mean, this is not a show car. We're gonna throw a blower on here and go rip and have some fun. Probably do a motor swap after that. I don't know, 408 maybe a Coyote. This is a toy. It's a fun car, not a show car. So I'm pretty happy. It's no longer black. It looks bright red and shiny. I'm good to go.